Okay, welcome back, guys. I'm super excited for another YouTube video about some technical integrations for voice AI agents in Salesforce. But I will say that making these YouTube videos, I've learned the lesson that consistency, discipline, and wherewithal, perseverance really matters on YouTube. But obviously, having good content matters more. I think we're past 70 followers. We're on our approach to 80 or 80 subscribers rather. And like I know in my heart of hearts, this content is not fun. This content is dry. This content is borderline something that would repulse or even scare people off of YouTube. But regardless, we got to do it. We got to make it just because we know that large language models are picking it up, as well as YouTube's targeting algorithm is ferocious. So we know that somewhere out there, there's going to be someone who's looking at their Salesforce instance, a business owner, manager, operator, and they're thinking to themselves, well, maybe if we had a voice AI agent, this would be a lot easier for us to work in the CRM, or at least have information populated after calls. I know that there is a native voice engine in Salesforce, so we're going to dip into a little bit about that. But what we're noticing is that a lot of the CRMs that come with native voices, people don't like them. They sound robotic. They're limited to the level of integration that comes out of the box with these CRMs. And I'm actually pretty impressed with the voice agents that Salesforce pushes out for their customers. I would say though that you do get a lot more flexibility and sophistication when it comes to workflow operations when you build out modular standalone agents, voice AI receptionists that can plug into any system, as opposed to having them housed in one system and then trying to have them interact with others from there. So we'll get into it, but if you're watching this on YouTube and you do appreciate the types of content that we're putting up here, feel free to like and subscribe. We love it. I'm probably gonna have a celebration video when we get 100 subscribers, just because of how hard it's been. But onward we trudge. So, how to integrate a voice AI receptionist with Salesforce for telecom, financial services, healthcare, retail, travel, and hospitality, field services, and contact centers. This is a very broad strokes overview of what types of considerations are made when doing voice AI integrations. This is not the be all end all guide where if you go here, you'll know exactly what to do. This is more like an executive summary where it's like, oh, okay, well, those are things to consider when you are getting into development, or if you are outsourcing development to another team. These are the types of things that you want to watch out for. So our observation as an AI agency, peak demand, integrating human nuance is really the biggest adoption blocker for artificial intelligence. It is hands down what we know, bottom line, is preventing a lot of AI systems from being adopted. Human beings, we are not technically inclined naturally. We like to have natural language, spoken conversations that are easy for us to digest automatically because we're talking. We've been doing it all our lives, and also it's something that we don't intend on not doing at some point. We're always going to be talking to each other. We're a species that likes to communicate verbally a lot, even written, I guess, online. But when it comes to verbal communication, this is where voice agents really shine because it's something that everyone can relate to. You don't have to be able to sit down at an AI terminal and know how to prompt, engineer prompts, or put together JSON functions for running queries and stuff like that. It's really just language. Natural language is what we're seeing is the bridge towards adoption towards AI. But that requires AI agents to actually reflect a level of humanity or employ a level of humanization that is accepted by human beings. So From our work with our clients, the technical pieces, APIs, telephony, and Salesforce rights are straightforward. What breaks adoption is the voice itself. Confidence and caller acceptance climb as prosody, timing, and persona become more human. Humanization is consistently the largest barrier. Second is hallucination risk, which usually traces back to insufficient skill testing and weak guardrails from internal teams. So 95% of all AI implementations fail first time. The abandonment rate for AI projects was 26% in 2023, jumped up to 46% in 2024. We expect that number to pop up one more time before settling maybe 50, 60% in 2025. So we know that when internal teams try to implement AI into their systems, the likelihood of failure is remarkably high. We also know that outsourcing, or at least consulting with third parties who are specialized in AI operations specifically, doubles your chances of a successful implementation. There's studies that have already shown that. I'll probably have another article on that at some point, but common humanization failures we see: flat prosody, monotone delivery that feels robotic, poor turn taking interruptions, awkward pauses, or talking over callers, generic persona, voice with no local tone, empathy, or brand fit. So these are all things that we expect from high performing receptionists. It's also something that we should expect from high performing voice AI agents that are interacting with our systems. Why integrating voice AI? Why integrate voice AI with Salesforce now, and why human nuance matters? If you want fast, measurable wins from voice AI, focusing on outcomes leaders care about: faster call resolution, fewer escalations, and low operating costs. Humanized voice isn't a nice to have. It materially improves those outcomes because callers trust and cooperate with voices that sound natural. It is so fascinating to observe human beings interact with AI systems because, at the beginning, when AI just came out, everyone was excited. Generative AI, this chatbot's talking to me, and then the hype faded. Well, this is just a robot. It's ticky tacky. It's just texting me. It's not really doing anything. Then the voices came out. It's like, wow, talking voice is great. 2 seconds later, they sound robotic. Doesn't sound human at all. They won't work. 6 months after that, wow, these things sound so human. Oh my gosh, they can do so much work. And now we're here. It's like, it's so obvious that the technology is advancing faster than we can remember where it was last at. And now that we're actively integrating these voice AI agents into CRMs, EMRs, hell, any system within API gateway, it's really sky's the limit for us. Like we're neck deep in a couple integrations right now, from varying sectors. It's like there's no sector that these voice AI agents won't be able to really, really perform well in. You just got to make sure you have a little bit of visibility on your APIs, and you're off to the races. But generally, the measurable outcomes that business owners, operators want to look for is reduced average handle time. So AHT, a humanized voice, asks clear, targeted questions, hands off cleanly, shortening call time. The better the call is, the faster it resolves. Faster triage, faster resolution, better voice triages creates accurate case work orders in Salesforce and routes to the right queue sooner. And then obviously, if you've got SLAs, you want to make sure you're not breaching them. So let's just take a sector example for telecom. In telecom outage triage, a calm, empathetic front-end voice gathers location and severity quickly while de-escalating anxious callers. And financial services, warm, turn-taking, and better phrasing reduce transfer churn during a billing dispute. So we know that we know that people who are not AI familiar, their interactions with AI are aversive. They're highly friction or filled with a lot of friction. But we do know as well that when the AI agent presents itself as human as possible, even we even write in we write in like stutters, or we write in sort of imperfections to make the agent seem more human. Like we have to imperfect voice agents for them to get adopted more. And that, I don't know if that's a reflection of human insecurity or fear or just a self-consciousness that we need to really like bring these agents down to a level of looking like they're not perfect so that they're accepted. But that's what we do, and it really works. Like I can't wait for the time when our agency is going to be able to play in the arena of humanoid agents that can walk around, and Tesla's coming out with Android agents, but I do believe there's going to be some companies that who franchise out their products, and we can rebrand them and train them how we want. And when that time comes, humanization is going to be the number one most critical element of adoption. So it's really interesting to see how that sort of evolution is taking place in the voice space first. It's going to be, I would say, this is going to be the most contentious point of conversation when it comes to Android agents that are walking around, because then you have, well, these things look really, really human. Now, how do we define what human is because of how lifelike they really are? But for the sake of a Salesforce integration, you really just want to maximize the way that the agent sounds like us, like its audience, generally lead to a higher conversion rate. So integration options for integrating a voice AI agent into Salesforce. Native in-platform voice you can use. Third-party modular agents, that's what we advise for literally all integrations, just because it's easier to manage and map out data and connect APIs when you have modular agents that have really good workflow engines. Or you can do a mixed hybrid where you're using both the modular agents as well as the native agents within a system. It's really up to you. Like we always say, go modular, because you can. So let's just say you don't want to use Salesforce anymore. You've devoted all that time to developing agents within Salesforce. Oh no, you're migrating away from Salesforce. Or you have a modular agent connected to Salesforce. Oh, you're migrating away from Salesforce. You're going to HubSpot. Great. Unplug that agent from Salesforce. Plug it into HubSpot. It's a lot. It's like an employee. So I give credit to these large CRMs for trying to build native voice engines, but once teams realize that the voice engine and the confluence of systems that make up the agent can plug in and plug out of APIs, at will, you're not going to want to have it locked into a specific CRM, or at least it's not advised. But again, it's your preference. We always advise more flexibility than less. So preparing a Salesforce and its data store. So the types of fields that you want to populate with voice AI, you're going to need obviously all of your inventory, phone numbers, and licenses. Salesforce objects, you're going to want to map those out. So contact object, case objects, work order objects, anything that you are looking to have the voice agent play with or interact with. And then, of course, API access, understanding how platform events happen, how the agent can trigger events or be triggered by events. You obviously want to pay attention to audit logging and retention for information, and then obviously minimizing any sort of personal information that's going through systems or APIs or even agents. We have some video, or not some video, some images rather, on what that workflow would look like when you're integrating a third-party voice with Salesforce. It's very straightforward. It's not exact. Like your workflow is probably going to look different depending on how you want to automate your operation. But there's just a general, voice agent gets a call, has a conversation via the large language model, sends data to Salesforce, and then Salesforce then triggers cases, work orders, so what have you. Pretty straightforward. Voice agent takes information, pushes it into system. Bottom line. The one thing that I want to just touch on is like mid conversation. A lot of the feedback we get when we do our demos is like, well, I heard her pause for a couple seconds there, or I mean, that was when we started. Now the pauses are a fraction of a second. People still ask about it, but generally people want to nitpick at the way that the voice agents are sounding. Time delay on responses, like they're having to process or read documents like literally novels within a second to get you an accurate answer. But these things are improving as we get bigger or stronger processing speeds, and generally, more tokens can go through these large language models than before, just because we have more NVIDIA chips and so have you. So all that stuff that we're nitpicky about now is probably going to be non-existent in the next couple of years. But I really do want to pay attention a little bit to prosody. tune into intonation, stress, and pacing. It's something that we do naturally as human beings, but voice agents, you sort of have to tamper with how they're responding a little bit. And there's a whole bunch of dials and instructions you can pretty much flip, in order to get them to do what you want and sound what you want. And that's how we help with that. But it's these little things that humans pick up on that really are barriers to adoption. Like, she doesn't sound perfect. She doesn't sound like 100% iRobot level quality. That we're not going to use her, even though functionally and technically she's amazing. You'll have teams like that, but then you'll have other teams going, "Oh my God, this voice agent can answer a phone call, book an appointment, and then have all the information in a CRM, and then email the salespeople that are supposed to be on the call." Like, we'll have two. So there's two types of people on the adoption frontier: highly aversive, highly resistant, need everything to be perfect. And then you have the ones who can just like accept that, okay, these things can do a lot of work in a very short amount of time. They're not human. I mean, do we want them to be perfect? That's a philosophical question, but they're doing a lot of work. Let's get some. So prosody is one thing that we notice really slows adoption. Latency, turn taking, latency between replies like used to be very long. Now it's very, very short, but we can still sort of tell when we're having that conversation. So that's improving tremendously. But still, like, accepting a highly accurate answer from a sophisticated being that takes a quarter of a second longer than someone who's just going to say, well, I have to get back to you. I don't know. It's up to your preference. You want to talk to a human that might be able to do it, or talk to a robot that's going to make you wait, a tenth of a second longer and actually do it. Multilingual local voice support. This was a huge one when our agents got lang detection. We call it multi-lang detection. Basically senses the language it's being spoken to in, and then responds in that language. Huge breakthrough. It's like, I don't know, if you're in Canada, like, it was a big thing to be a French English speaker to get a job. I don't even know if people care about that stuff anymore. But these agents can speak literally 30, 40, 50 languages. So, it's going to be kind of hard for the multilinguists to compete with them. What else can we touch on here that might be relevant for you guys? So prosody, latency, multilingual are things that you want to be able to have in your voice agent 100%, or at least fine tune. How to integrate the system's native voice options. Is native the right choice? So generally, when you're considering whether native is the right choice, you're probably looking at third party going, well, we don't want to use this system. We're going to have to get an agency come in here. It's going to cost us money. How valuable is that versus us just trying to build it in house, trying to put together things in Salesforce natively? You're probably going to have lower costs for integration. You're going to have a tighter agent workspace, predictable security model because everything's within Salesforce, and probably get faster pilots. But the thing is, you lose that flexibility in being able to do things outside of Salesforce unless you have really good API developers who can, connect your Salesforce instance and treat that as your modular agent. I don't advise it. I always advise building agents as standalone and then connecting them. Like, they even can solve issues between systems that can't connect by being that connector. So, and that's what we're seeing with a couple of EMRs. This is just dry stuff. Your team can look at this when they're going through the checklist, but I just wanted to touch on the main points. How the AI voice handles core workflows when integrating with Salesforce. So incident or outage and incident triage is going to be a huge one. Like, confidence testing on a call to see where a call has to be routed to is something that we are noticing is becoming a more common topic of conversation. Like, can this thing route calls? It was the first part. It's like, well, can this thing route calls depending on the conditions of the call? Now you're getting to the dial of confidence, so to speak. It's like, well, not very confident I can manage this call, route it. Voice agent thinks, well, yeah, I can definitely manage this call, try to resolve it on call. Or maybe somewhere in the middle where it's like, did you want me to route this? I might be able to do it for you, or might not. That's something we're seeing more and more, and that's going into the conversation logic. I would say maybe even like conditional confidence. It's really hard to talk about this one because this one is going to be case by case. Like if you have a receptionist who's like sharp as hell, she knows when and what to route calls to, great. We definitely want her in the ideation workshop to build out the agent. But if you sort of have an idea on which calls are urgent and which calls are not, then we can train the agent on those conditions to see how confident they would be in certain scenarios. But we always advise is to have at least one person that the agent can route calls to just in case. Let me see. What else can we do? Billing inquiries, a super uh, important use case. I would say this use case is probably going to be one of the most sought after over the next few years. It's like, what's my bill? How do you explain my bill? Blah, 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 blah. Voice agents can do this very well. It's only a matter of security and making sure that the agent can properly authenticate the person that they're speaking to before looking into an API at their current billing scenario. So that's something we work on with you. I mean, if you have certain controls or certain things within an account that the person can reference, like, hey, what's your first name, last name, what's your address, like typically how they would do it at the bank, then we can help you with that. I would even go farther and say give people personal codes or allow them to choose personal codes that they can reference with the agent so that they won't be able to talk about their bill unless they remember what their secret password or code was. Tell that to the agent and say, oh yeah, okay, thanks for coming back, Susie, let's talk about your bill for September. Appointment scheduling, this is like this is what we do like most. Like, Jesus Christ, everyone wants their agent to book directly into their CRM and not have to do any of that work anymore. They do this extremely well. And this is probably where we're going to be spending the next couple of years. Just everyone wants their agent to book stuff. Oh, Jesus Christ. We get requests for this from everyone, even people who have no budgets. They're like, we want our thing, we want a voice agent robot to book onto our appointment scheduler. It's like, okay, well, it's going to cost this much. No, we can't do it. Okay, well, we'll see you next year when you have more budget for it. But literally every single team we speak to wants this. It's not even a question. Every single team 100% wants appointment scheduling. And of course, a lot of them do want the follow up. Order status, we're getting a lot more of. We just got a few that were asking if the agent can take orders. Yes, they can. And if anything within your API documentation that you see, the agent can do with that system. So we got a queue of people looking at uh, order status, quoting, as well as actually taking orders and processing the orders on the call if they already have payment on file. Like crazy stuff. But it's all it's all in the roadmap of adoption for workflows. And this is across the board. We got manufacturers, we got healthcare companies. I think we got a power plant coming up that wants to do some workflow optimization and automation. So it's really, it's across the board with every single sector. And I'm just super excited because these business owner operators are coming up with such great ideas. They don't know AI, they don't know automation, but they know how their business works. And we say, well, we tell every single business owner, we approach these AI with complete open mind. These builds have the largest canvas that you can work on. We call our workspaces the canvas of infinity because we know that whatever you can conceive, whatever you can think of for an operation for your business, there's a 99.999% chance, if not 100% chance that we can build it with AI. So have that confidence. If you don't know AI, but you know what you want, book a discovery call. Field service dispatch, pretty common. Let me see. Those are pretty good ones for Salesforce. And obviously, with compliance, data residency, you're going to want to be aware of the types of systems that are involved. Where data is stored. We typically use American systems because America's got the strongest infrastructure for AI systems globally, and we're going to be relying on that. Canada's making some headway. We have Cohere. Canada's large language model for enterprise. I'm digging into it a little bit more. I still like OpenAI. OpenAI and ChatGPT are just going to be forever in my heart, just because they're so powerful, they're so big, they're so fast. It's like, God, it's like, why wouldn't you work with these guys? But generally, we always want to work with monolith systems because they have, extremely strong uptime, security, stuff like that. I think we will be doing some builds with Cohere at some point, though. Once we get into their APIs. What else? Again, a lot of this stuff's super boring, but I need to talk about it a little bit just so that the YouTube algorithm can pick us up. And of course, if you're interested in this stuff, definitely reach out to us. Measuring success, KPIs to track after integrating a voice AI agent with Salesforce. So obviously, you're going to want some uh, KPIs to track, calls handled, cases created, you know, service level agreements. You want to make sure you're, keeping in line with that. First contact resolution, how many were solved before the I'm getting a crazy amount of text right now. How many cases were solved before they needed to be hand off? Like, all these stuffs are going to be metrics that you look at over the long term. To start, you just want to see, can your agent just do what you intended it to do? Like, that's pretty much the bottom line. Average handle time, you want to see those go down, and of course, customer satisfaction, you want to see that go up. There's some numbers here you can look at as goals, but obviously every single case is going to be different. Pitfalls, I would say number one pitfall for voice AI integration, guys, data field naming convention alignment, guys. Like, I'm going to put my hands up and beg, just beg operations teams, when you're putting together your systems and your workflows, please, for the love of God, align the names of the fields through each system so that they match. We have to use microscopes and scalpels to work with, and even I understand it's not even just the customer's fault. We get API documentations back from developers where their data field names in their systems don't align with the naming conventions in the API docs. It's not. This is something I think is going to be, smoothed over as more integrations happen. But please use the same names as you're using throughout different systems. It makes it a lot easier for development. Duplicate records, idempotency rates, like, I would say, poor idempotency. This is where you are preventing duplicate records. So duplicate customer object creation, duplicate appointment object creation. It's really interesting how that works, just technically, through the API calls. But a lot of people don't think about this stuff when they're naturally booking, like having a conversation just on the phone. It's like, hey, let me book you in. Oh, slot's full. What, you want another time? Voice agent doesn't think like that. It tries to book that slot. Great, the slot was booked. Or um, book that slot. Oh, maybe I don't want that time. Book another slot. Well, what happened to the first one? So you have to really make each booking event, each call, each booking event on the call, unique, and not to have them duplicated. It's really, when you see it in action, you'll understand what's going on. And this is the developer disconnect. I know it's happening. I can think about it and understand it, but even just talking about it's a little bit difficult. But if you do have questions, like, ask ChatGPT, well, what is idempotency and how does that help with voice AI integrations? It'll literally explain it. Like, you need to have a unique ID that's attached to that booking event, and fire that event into a calendar. And if that unique ID then gets, duplicated or replicated somehow, then the second event going through, fails or something like that. Let me see. Obviously, handoffs, when voice agents handing off a call or routing a call, there's a couple of different things you can do. You can send an email or text to the person who's getting routed to, but generally, the agent's just going to send that call like a receptionist. I mean, you can create workflows to pretty much put together, a warm transfer, so to speak. that has contextual information attached to it for the person who's going to receive the call. But I mean, with routing calls, it's so fast. The person who gets on the call, oh yeah, what'd you say? Okay, great. Done. We're off to the races. Let me see what else we can touch on here. We're getting into time. I would say when it comes to procurement, do not try to go fast. Try to go steadily and deliberately. So small pilots, 4 to 8 weeks. We have some pilots that go like 3 to 6 months because teams have to acclimate to the idea that they're using AI now. Production, when it comes to full rollout, I would say a really deliberate rollout. You're for full enterprise across departments. It's going to be a few months. Don't try to rush this stuff, guys. Start slow, piece by piece, brick by brick. You're going to be better off than trying to build a house of cards that'll get blown over with 1 or 2 hallucinations. Obviously, when you're doing procurement, you want to do pilot milestones, user accepted testing, stuff like that. And we have a small plan here for doing a voice AI integration with Salesforce if you're using a modular agent or if you're doing a native agent. But just wanted to touch on a couple of those things, just because I really do feel like there's going to be a lot of Salesforce teams out there going, damn, this agent, it sounds good, but it can't do this, it can't do that. Or, wow, like I saw this other voice engine that's really good. It has some features that our voice AI agent in Salesforce doesn't have. Or, how can we maximize our voice AI agent within Salesforce so that we don't have to go to a third party? All of these questions we'll be happy to answer for you on a discovery call. But generally, like, we build voice agents standalone and then we plug them into systems for our clients. That's generally been the easiest way for client adoption. And for me, it's like I really do believe that's going to be specializing in Salesforce, being a Salesforce administrator, great. Like, you probably would have to pick up the skills to start plugging in voice AI agents into, or at least building out voice AI agent workflows in Salesforce. But if you do end up doing that, then you'll quickly realize that, hey, like, if I were to just have these skills of being able to put together voice AI agents that can connect to any API or any different system, like, we're getting system requests for things I've never even seen. Some of these systems that some of our clients are asking if we can do integrations for. And yes, we can do it. If you have an API gateway, your voice agent can interact and push information into the system, get information out of the system and use it on the phone call. It's just so fascinating to me how many different systems there are across all these sectors that are just ripe for the integration, so to speak, because we're cutting down the time on how it takes to process a lot of these workflows, just because it's only going to take a short conversation with the voice agent. So I really do feel like voice activated AI workflows are going to be a large part of work operations in the future, business operations, just because it's easy. Everyone can do it. Have a conversation with your receptionist agent, tell her what you want to happen, and she'll literally just go do it. She'll literally just go into the CRM and do it. So, if you found any value from this chit chat on integrations with Salesforce specifically, feel free to explore some of the other systems we look at. Generally, the principles remain the same. If you have if you have API interoperability within your CRM and there's an API gateway, you can generally connect to pretty much any system or any voice agent that has the same. Because most voice agent systems, like, if they don't have APIs, like, it's probably not one that you want to use. You're going to want to use the one that can connect to anything, because then the sky's the limit. You can build quite literally whatever you want. So I'm going to cut this one off here. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to try and put up some more, videos where people actually want to hear what I'm talking about. I know the technical stuff with AI and integrating into CRMs, not not everyone's bag. I understand. Probably try another video today where we can get some more interesting conversation up. But if you did find value from this and you think we can help you with your voice AI integration, schedule a discovery call, email Sasha. You can put your name into this little widget here, and we'll get right to you. Looking forward to the next one. Bye now.